Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we launch WoMEDA's Werribee report. My name is Tamara O'Dine. I'm an ABC News presenter and journalist and a long-term resident of Melbourne's West, so it's my great pleasure to be your MC today. I'd like to start our proceedings by recognising Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the first custodians of the lands on which Australia was founded. We acknowledge the Wathaurong, Woiwurrung and Boonwurrung peoples of the Kulin Nation as the traditional owners of the lands on which Wyndham is being built, and we pay our respects to the wisdom and diversity of past and present elders. I'd also like to acknowledge the City of Wyndham councillors, our state and federal members of Parliament, state government representatives, and key stakeholders. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so thrilled to have so many of you join us virtually this morning for WoMEDA's Werribee report launch. If you have any technical difficulties, please just click the tech support button to the bottom of the right-hand page and someone from our events team will help you. Over the next 25 to 30 minutes, you'll be hearing from an excellent collection of speakers who'll all provide a range of perspectives and insights into the future of Werribee and Wyndham. I'd first like to introduce you to Professor Peter Dawkins, Chair of the West of Melbourne Economic Development Alliance and the former Vice-Chancellor and President of Victoria University. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you, Tamara. On behalf of WoMEDA, the West of Melbourne Economic Development Alliance, I'm delighted to be launching our major new report on the future of Werribee with you all today. It is called Werribee Precinct, a vibrant satellite city for Melbourne. WoMEDA was established with an independent board in 2017, comprising members from local government, local industry and leading institutions of the West of Melbourne. It is hosted and supported by Victoria University and has also received funding from state government, local government and local industry. Its primary objective is to influence the new economic development and create more local jobs in the West of Melbourne because of the huge population growth in our region. We do this by undertaking independent analysis and producing reports overseen by the board. This report on Werribee follows earlier reports in which we've argued for three main employment precincts in the West of Melbourne: Footscray, Sunshine and Werribee. Earlier studies have focused on Footscray in the inner west and Sunshine in the middle west, and we've also produced a report on the importance of a new hospital for Melton, which, like Werribee, is in the rapidly growing outer west. In this report, we've turned our attention specifically to Werribee, which is much further from Melbourne CBD than Footscray and Sunshine. With the huge population growth of the city of Wyndham, in which Werribee is located, Werribee needs an employment precinct to enable it to be a vibrant satellite city and enable the people of Wyndham to work closer to home. While the economy is much less developed than that of Footscray and Sunshine, the long-term need for it to be a satellite city is very compelling and requires a visionary approach. The case for people working closer to home has been further boosted by COVID-19, and we see this as a very timely report. While some of the ideas for Werribee's development in the report have similarities with our proposals for Footscray and Sunshine, such as important roles for an expanded hospital and a STEM campus of Victoria University, the emphasis on the clean economy give it a distinctive focus, as do the further development of distinctive amenities such as Werribee Zoo. I would like to thank the WoMEDA board, our chief economist Rod Maddock, and the many West of Melbourne stakeholders that we consulted with in preparing this report. We offer this report as an addition to the ongoing community discussions about Wyndham, detailing a bold plan for a positive future for Wyndham and its residents.
Thank you, Peter. Now it's time to hear from Professor Rodney Maddock, the lead economist at WoMEDA. Professor Maddock will present the findings from the analysis around what an investment into a new precinct in Wyndham would deliver. A warm welcome to Professor Rodney Maddock.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Rod Maddock. I'm going to talk to you now about the Werribee Precinct, what we think is a vibrant satellite city for Melbourne. We start with the basic problem Melbourne's got. It's going to be a city of about 10 million people by mid-century. That's going to make it a much less livable city unless we change the shape of the city significantly. An important part of that, we think, is to create suburban hubs where a lot more people will be able to work locally rather than all trying to commute to the CBD. And we think Werribee is ideally placed to one of those satellite cities within an expanded Melbourne. Fundamental problem is that the population growth in Werribee is going to be very, very strong. It's going to be 500,000 people by 2036. That's bigger than Canberra, bigger than Geelong, bigger than Ballarat and Bendigo together. So it's going to be a very big place. It's also very remote from the CBD. It's 30 kilometres. Parramatta, for instance, is only 27 kilometres from CBD in Sydney. So we've got a place which is going to be a very, very big population and quite a long way from the CBD. And we think that makes it ideal for developing as a suburban hub. The alternative of actually having more and more people commute from Wyndham into the CBD or into other parts of the city every day is going to create very, very big problems. Currently, about 2/3 of workers commute out of Wyndham every day. And we think that could well add another 50,000 commuters by 2036. You already know the roads are congested, the trains are congested, all those sorts of things. If we're going to have another 50,000 commuters, all those problems are going to get worse. We think the best solution, the best alternative, is actually to try to create a model whereby more people work locally. Your next question should probably be, well, what about COVID? And that's a fair question. Our assessment is that COVID will actually increase the demand for population and local jobs in Wyndham. Effectively, the CBD has been disadvantaged because of congestion and close contact of people and problems of moving people around on public transport. So a lot more people will want to live and work locally, and we think that that supports the idea that we actually need to create a much bigger jobs hub in Wyndham and particularly in Werribee. Our assessment is that you probably need to find another 85,000 jobs. Story is pretty straightforward. If the population grows by another 200,000 people, then about 85,000 of those people will need to enter the workforce. And if you don't want them to commute to the city, you've got to find 85,000 jobs locally. So it's a very, very big ask. Remember, we're talking about 2036, which is 15 years away. It's a lot of jobs in quite a short period of time. So the next question then is, which jobs? And the ABS has done a good job for us in forecasting where they think jobs of the future will be. Unsurprisingly, a lot of them are going to be in services. Government suggests that 70% of all the new jobs will be in 5 industries: healthcare and social assistance, professional, scientific and technical services, education and training, construction, and accommodation and food services. So of the 85,000 jobs we need, probably 60,000 of them are going to have to come in those 5 areas. And the big ones, healthcare, professional, education and construction, I'm going to talk about a bit more. For Wyndham, it's actually a very big shift. If you look at the middle column here of how many jobs locally are currently provided in those 5 areas, you see that the professional area only employs 4% of people locally. We need to get to the stage where 16% of local jobs are in those professional services areas. And so it's a very, very big transformation from Wyndham, from 4% of jobs being in professional services to 16%, or healthcare and social assistance from 11% up to 24%. These are very, very big, rapid changes that we need in those areas, and education and construction and accommodation will also need to grow significantly, as you can see from the table. So we think the Werribee Precinct then provides the perfect place to try and meet these challenges. We think that Werribee Precinct within Wyndham can be a satellite city and a city of the future. We've got a big greenfield site there sitting between Werribee and Hoppers Crossing, which is quite perfectly located to become the centre of this new city for Wyndham. So we think it's going to be a city of the future, and we talk about employment, we're very, very much focused on services. We think that high quality business, professional, government and personal services are going to be the key to this new precinct. Of course, if you're building a completely new city, you also will build one with a deeply green philosophy. You want to have an environmentally sustainable new place. You don't want to have it creating a lot of waste. You don't want to have a lot of CO2. You actually want to build a new city with a new philosophy and a deeply green, service-oriented employment hub. We think the elements are there already to start to actually promote this sort of city. We think that around the Mercy Hospital there's always potential for a big health cluster, not just hospital, but the range of other services that sit around that. There's a start of a professional services cluster with the new court, government services, local government, those sorts of things, a little bit closer to the Werribee end. There's an education cluster there already. We've already got a bunch of universities and colleges and schools which will support professional and technical education as we go forward. And then Victoria Polytechnic's got a very good construction infrastructure being created to actually employ people in the construction sector for the future. So the elements are there. They each have to be deepened and strengthened. That's basically the core story that we're telling about Wyndham. If it's going to be a place which employs lots of people and people want to go there every day, it's also got to be a nice place to live and work. And so social amenity can't be ignored. The zoo, arts, all sorts of sports, a range of tourism and other facilities, and an enhancement of the natural amenity, the harbour, the wetlands, the river, and the greening of the west, all will be necessary elements of creating a very enjoyable place to live and work in this new Werribee city that we think should be created. Transport's also important, and one of the big things that stands out from Wyndham is that virtually all of the transport runs from the northeast to the southwest, basically the old path between Melbourne and Geelong. We're going to need a lot more cross-cutting transport to actually focus on developing this central part of Werribee for Wyndham. We think trackless trams are one of the really important elements of this. These are much cheaper than normal trams, but have most of the benefits of trams in terms of fixed routes, rights of way, and all those sorts of things. They will be part of a new sort of transport system. We think that there's got to be an emphasis on electric, autonomous, active, on-demand, and all those sorts of things which we can all see coming in the new transport infrastructure, which has potential to take over from the older technologies that we've concentrated on in the past. Fortunately, the state government has started to recognise the importance of some of these things and has started to take steps to move down this path of building these four big facilities which we think are needed. The health and professional job cluster, the educational cluster, social amenity, and better transport infrastructure. So what we think is these things need to be accelerated. The concentration on building them up is going to be very important to actually reduce that problem of difficult commuting and poor lifestyle for people in the region. So what we get to then in summary is that Werribee is ideally placed as a satellite city for the southwest. What's really needed is we need to develop a lot of jobs and quite quickly. And we think it makes sense to actually concentrate on building these jobs in the four of the big areas or five industries which we think have been highlighted by the Bureau of Statistics. Health and social assistance, professional, technical and scientific services, education and training, and construction, with accommodation and food rounding out the five. That's my story. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Maddock. I'm sure you'll agree that Professor Maddock's presentation raises a range of interesting challenges and opportunities for Werribee and Wyndham and its future. WoMEDA's report has been shaped by a number of key community stakeholders who've provided valuable insights. Next, we'll hear from a small group of local community leaders on their thoughts on how the development of the Werribee Precinct will help deliver a vibrant new satellite city for Werribee, Wyndham and Melbourne.
Well, what isn't there to love about Wyndham? Our strength is the diversity of our residents and our geographical location. It is home for families, opportunity and community connections. We are home to the Werribee River, the Werribee Zoo, the Werribee Mansion.
You've got the sea just down the road. We have the Yang Mountains not far from us. Easy access to the Great Ocean Road. And then, of course, our area, we've got the Mansion Hotel, the Rose Garden, the golf course, and then the best zoo.
Werribee is very much about families. Over 50% of Wyndham households actually have families, which means there's 50,000 people attending schools here.
It's a fabulous place to live and work. It's got modern, affordable housing, great facilities and amenities.
It will continue to be the fastest growing part of the state. I mean, it really is the case. It's near everything, it's got everything, and it is everything to people who move there.
It's a diverse community, but really it can be self-contained if that's what you wanted.
Well, probably the biggest thing about the Wyndham area and Werribee is the importance of providing places for people. So it means places where people can work locally, live locally, and also access essential services locally.
We've got to have local jobs. Really, really important.
Something like 60% of the workforce currently travel out of the municipality for work. And you can imagine the pressure that puts on public transport, on our roads. Environmentally, it's disastrous. And for people's way of life, all this time commuting is time that they don't spend with family and friends and volunteering or being active participants in the community. So local jobs for local people is what Wyndham needs.
Real desire is to establish, as a satellite city, a heartbeat.
I'd actually question even the term satellite. Not because it's bad, but because it implies it's an orbiting thing. I think Werribee will be actually its own centre of attraction. People will want to go there, not just come from there. And I think that's going to be the big difference.
We want to see expanded higher education opportunities and the realisation of the promised head offices, state and federal government agencies, and the continued expansion of research and development. These are all critical to satisfying the residents out here in Wyndham.
Here in the West, we're experiencing a construction boom. What that actually means for employment is that unless we act now in getting more people pathwaying through the vocational education sector into jobs, that we'll be facing a labour shortage.
Aged care, elder care, child care, early childhood care, it's all the health spectrum throughout life. I think that's inevitably going to be one, and health tech with that too, enabling people to stay in the home longer.
But we've also got to be mindful that we have a very large and diverse population with a variety of skills and needs for work. So there's a real focus on professional services, information technology. The new digital economy is really very important.
I think it's going to be an administrative centre, a judicial centre, a political centre, and of course, can I not say it, a university centre and a TAFE centre. So we'll see that as being a major attractor for students from all over Victoria.
Werribee and the city of Wyndham generally is a natural location for a satellite city, for government hubs, for administration hubs. And I think that's what's going to be part of the overall infrastructure that will be so important to Werribee.
But also, if you imagine the campus, the Werribee campus of Victoria University, we want to have industry on the campus, not near it, not 10 kilometres or 5 kilometres away, right on it.
I think the transport links, and that, as I say, it's vehicle transport, buses, trains, bicycle tracks, walking tracks. The council have done a lot of work in this area already, and if we can link, for example, Werribee Zoo and the tourism precinct with all of those, it'll be an absolute success.
Of course, housing is also relevant infrastructure here, in that we make sure that for the Wyndham community we provide a diverse range of housing that varies according to their needs, and as they grow that means town housing, detached homes, etc., to meet their changing requirement.
I think the coronavirus pandemic has shown us that we can really utilise technology a lot better than we have done in the past.
I do think that people are thinking a lot about the value of being closer to home, the value of being able to not commute, the value of being able to use public transport or other forms of transport, two-wheeled, for example. So this whole idea of being within the region of the region is key.
It is likely that remote working will continue post-COVID, that most employees won't be saying you need to come back into the office for many jobs, particularly office-based ones, but there'll be a hybrid situation. That provides amazing opportunity for some people within Wyndham to continue working from home and enabling them to live closer to their community and also work in their community.
The impact has been that more people want to work and live locally and not have to travel. And I see this being a positive impact for our city, livability and our economy.
I think that Wyndham have been working really well to protect its community.
So although COVID's terrible, it's making some changes which might long-term be beneficial for people if we can see them through.
Well, Werribee is a very special place, I think, because it has a lot of open space. And I think the future and vision for Werribee should be that you are balancing very effectively residential construction growth, industry development, but also maintaining the greenness and the access to open space and nature here.
I think Werribee really has to build on its existing strengths with the education sector and the health sector that's here. And as I mentioned before, government hubs or business hubs where people can work locally. I think that's the future for Werribee.
Diversity. Werribee's all about diversity. Diversity of cultures, peoples, diversity in restaurants, offerings, shops, you name it. It's the place of diversity, and I think it's going to be really attractive from that point of view going forward.
I think it's going to be one which would be adventurous geographically, as we've said. It'd be linked more to public transport. It'll have a major sporting presence, and most importantly, it'll be seen as a knowledge and career centre and city. So it's a place that people would say, right, it's W in the alphabet, but it's A in location and A in choice. And that to me is the future.
Thank you to Meryl, Barbara, Glenn, Adam, Sue and Mia for those insights. It's great to hear the community's thoughts on the future of Wyndham. There's every reason to be optimistic about Werribee and Wyndham's future, particularly as it seeks to become a vibrant new satellite city for Melbourne. Before we close the launch today, WoMEDA would like to thank each of our speakers, together with the Victorian Government and Lead West, for their important contributions. You can now access the full report online at womeda.com.au. To close and officially launch this report, here is the Treasurer of Victoria and Member for Werribee, the Honourable Tim Pallas. It's been my great pleasure to be your MC today. Thanks so much for joining us. Welcome, Tim.
Hello and good morning to everyone who's joined online to hear from the West of Melbourne Economic Development Alliance, more easily known as WoMEDA. I could wear many hats with interest in this report to be launched today as the Treasurer of Victoria or as the Minister for Economic Development. However, it's as member for Werribee that I'm thrilled most for the proposed future of Werribee and Melbourne's West as outlined in this report. I'm excited with the possibility of my electorate to developing into a satellite city for Melbourne. It brings the opportunity to provide more jobs for local residents in their own community. The report to be launched today examines what types of industry we need in Werribee and Melbourne's West. What will the future of Werribee look like? And how we might achieve this when we work together to meet the needs of our booming population. When I first became the local member, Hoppers Lane in Werribee was a strip of empty paddocks. Now it's full of life as an employment hub, providing the community with essential health services and an education and research precinct. I'm proud what the Andrews Labor government's projects and policies have encouraged investments to Victoria's regions and its outer suburbs, creating jobs and economic opportunity to areas like Wyndham. The Andrews Labor government has invested significantly in Wyndham to provide for these opportunities. In fact, our investment in our West is more than 15 times greater in the Wyndham community than the previous government. Some of my particular favourites include $128 million investment for the Tech Schools Initiative, which includes the Wyndham Tech School at Victoria's University's Werribee campus, $95 million investment in the St Vincent's Private Hospital development, $85 million investment in the expansion of the Werribee Mercy Hospital, providing Wyndham residents with their first ICU facilities in the local community, planning funds for the next stage of the hospital's development, including plans to upgrade the emergency department, $71 million to upgrades to roads around the East Werribee Precinct, including $45 million to upgrade the Snides Road interchange, $45 million investment to design and construction of the Wyndham Police Complex, providing jobs for 490 police officers, support staff and partnering agency staff, $271 million for the new Wyndham Law Courts, $84 million investment to upgrade the Werribee Open Range Zoo, increasing tourism and economic activity for Werribee, and of course, our $1.8 billion Western Roads upgrade package, a record investment in local roads by a state government that has seen 8 key arterial roads upgraded in Wyndham alone, including the completion of the Duncans Road interchange, and provide ongoing maintenance for all those road upgrades over the next 20 years. And of course, I can't forget 3 level crossing removals at Werribee Street, Cherry Street, Old Geelong Road, and another nearby at Aviation Road. This means the metro line in Wyndham will be free of all level crossings by 2022, as part of the 75 level crossing removals to be removed by 2025. And with an expected 24% increase in peak capacity on the Werribee line following completion of the metro tunnel, residents will enjoy more train services and motorists won't have the congestion waiting at level crossings for the extra train services. The long-awaited Westgate Tunnel will provide, for the first time, an alternative access to the Westgate Bridge for motorists from the outer western suburbs. Along with new schools and kindergartens, the Andrews government is investing for Wyndham and Melbourne's rapidly growing population in the west. To achieve the ideal of a satellite city, we need to work together, business, industry, and all levels of government. I'm excited for the future of Werribee, and I look forward to hearing more detail from the report. My thanks to Wade Noonan and WoMEDA for their continued support for Werribee and Melbourne's West.